Hello, my name is Caitlin Preston. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my teaching portfolio. A time that I worked with a family to support a child's learning was when I had identified that my child needed to write her name the correct way. So when she first came to me, she was writing her C backwards, and I discussed with my supervising teacher that this was something that I wanted to work on during the semester, and she agreed. So I first reached out to the parents just to let them know that I would start working with her, and then I may be sending some stuff home with her. The parents were eager to help, and so I began just kind of assessing her and just seeing what she could do, what she couldn't do, and trying to go from there. And like I said, she wrote her C backwards and an A in her name. So we broke the letters down at first, and then once she could start writing the letters the correct way, we kind of began putting them together. Once we started putting them together, I noticed when she got excited, she would write her C backwards again. So I reached out to the parents and just let them know, like, hey, just encourage her to start and then with a dot and then slowly go around. And then also just really emphasize to slow down and think about what she's doing before, she gets started writing. And that really helped with her. And then I just also encouraged the parents, for a few minutes a night, just really work on, writing with her and just practicing those letters. And actually last week, I'm sorry, I apologize. Last week, she actually wrote her name the correct way. And today, during my practicum, we were making placemats for Thanksgiving, and she actually wrote her C backwards. And then she realized it and then wrote it the correct way. And we turned that backward C into a heart, which was super cute. And she was super proud of herself. So it was really cool, with the parents. They were eager to learn how to better assist her, and I'm going to share with you that. So here's my portfolio. I apologize, my technology is not working correctly, but let's see. I think it's this one. No, it's this one. Sorry. This is the documentation sharing plan that we created. And then this is just the evidence of sharing that with her. And we're discussing what we were doing in class, And so after I'd shared this with her, the parent also contacted me and said that the little girl had been working during her free time. So when they were at restaurants or just at home, not doing anything, she was actually working on it and excited to show her parents and her family. And, I'm just super proud of her. So I think that the plan that best shows my ability to do a curriculum plan is probably the pumpkin exploration. So this was the emergent learning activity, and I had to discuss with the supervising teacher what she thought would be most beneficial. And the week after this lesson, we were actually attending the pumpkin patch, so it was a perfect opportunity to discuss like pumpkins and all of that. So I began by reading some stories about pumpkins. And the kids really enjoyed it. My lesson plan went along with that there were different type of pumpkins, and what different colors, different sizes, different shapes, which led into one of our activities, which was measuring the pumpkin. That was really fun. They loved it. And then I made a sensory bin with the pumpkin pulp, and I set them down, and they could come 2 at a time and actually get to feel the insides of the pumpkin, which they really liked. They got to learn new vocabulary and just really get a feel of the pumpkin, you know. And then following that activity, we actually did a tasting of pumpkin for small group, and they got to taste pumpkin pie and pumpkin seeds, pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, and also a pumpkin roll. I can't remember, but they got to taste different things of the pumpkin, and some students loved it, some students didn't. We just emphasized, at least just try it. You know, you might like it and you might not, and that's okay too. And they really enjoyed it. They loved getting to feel the insides of the pumpkin and reading the stories, getting to play with, or getting to feel the pumpkins that I had brought. And so I'm going to share with you some of that. So, I apologize again. Here is us reading a story. And this is all of the things we tried. Oh, pumpkin bread. Sorry. And this is us reading another story. And here are the sensory bins like I had mentioned. I used spatulas and little spoons and little tongs. And then I used little muffin pans so that they could sort the seeds and count them if they wanted to. This is us measuring the outside of the pumpkin. Students got to take a guess at how big they thought the pumpkin was, and then we actually measured it together using a piece of yarn, and this student was actually the closest, and we were talking about it. It was super fun. They loved it. And here's the different sizes, shapes, colors of the pumpkin. Here's us guessing how big they thought the pumpkin would be. And here I am talking with them about the pulp of the pumpkin and how sometimes it can be slimy. Some students had never even heard the word slimy before. We connected it to slime at home. And so yeah, they had a lot of fun with that one. I think that the only challenge that I really faced with implementing guidance strategies was that sometimes I don't know how to respond. So kids with like autism or ADHD or even oppositional defiant disorder, that's a little tricky because when they tend to act out or something, I get a little worried about how I should respond. So I would always go and talk to the supervising teacher, of course, if I was uncomfortable or didn't feel like I could handle the situation. Most of the time I could, but there were times when there was one little boy who he likes to pinch sometimes, and he has autism, and he's nonverbal. And so when this little boy would pinch, obviously I wouldn't do anything back to him, but I didn't know how to successfully keep him safe and keep myself safe at the same time, if that makes sense. So instead of responding to him or saying anything to him, I just walked away as best as I could, and then went and got the teacher, and then she modeled the appropriate practice, and then I followed. So that way that I knew that I was doing the correct thing. So in this situation, we hold his hands and we get eye level with him, and then we tell him no pinch, safe hands. And he doesn't always like that, and he doesn't always respond to that. Like I said, he is nonverbal, and he does have autism. So it's hard for him to understand that what he is doing is wrong. But over the course of this semester, I've noticed growth in that area, and he's actually becoming more aware that he should not be doing that. And so, like, actually today, he tried to pinch me, and I told him no, safe hands, and I did not have to restrain his hands. And he looked at me and put his forehead on my forehead. And after discussing this with the teacher, we came to the conclusion that that was possibly his way of saying sorry, or that he shouldn't have done that. I have learned using observation and documentation to guide my teaching that you really should pay attention to like what the kids are doing and where they're at. So like say you have some higher level kids and then some lower level kids. You have to meet each kid where they are and align that in an appropriate way. That way that you're meeting every child. You can do that lesson, but you need to make sure that every lesson is tailored for every child, not just one. But that is my portfolio, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will share the link if you guys want to view it more. But thank you for watching my video.